When Ethan Brooks signed the divorce papers, he didn't argue. He didn't beg. He didn't make promises. He simply picked up the pen and signed. Across the table sat his wife of 12 years, Vanessa. And beside her sat the man she had left him for. Billionaire real estate mogul Victor Kane. Vanessa looked almost relieved. As though she had finally escaped a life she believed was too small. Too ordinary. Too average. Ethan owned a modest accounting firm. He drove a 10-year-old pickup truck. He spent weekends coaching his son's baseball team. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't famous. And apparently, he wasn't enough. As Vanessa stood to leave, she delivered one final comment. The kind people regret years later. You were a good husband, Ethan. A pause. But I wanted a bigger life. Then she walked away. For a long moment, Ethan simply sat there. Silent. Finally, his attorney asked. Are you okay? Ethan stared at the closed door. Then smiled sadly. I will be. The next 2 years were difficult. Very difficult. Ethan became a full-time single father to his 8-year-old son, Noah. His days started before sunrise. His nights ended long after midnight. Work. School pickups. Homework. Laundry. Meals. Repeat. There were moments he thought he might break. But he never did. Because every time he felt exhausted, Noah would run into the room smiling. And somehow that was enough. Meanwhile, Vanessa's new life appeared perfect. At least online. Private jets. Luxury yachts. Magazine interviews. Charity galas. Mansions. Vacations. Social media painted the picture of a fairy tale. Millions of people admired it. Some envied it. Ethan ignored it. Until one afternoon. A former client unexpectedly visited his office. The man looked nervous. Very nervous. Ethan, I need advice. The client placed several documents on the desk. Ethan glanced at them. Then frowned. The numbers didn't make sense. He checked again. And again. His expression changed immediately. Where did you get these? The client swallowed hard. They came through a property partnership. Ethan continued reading. The deeper he looked, the worse it became. Fake valuations. Hidden liabilities. Questionable transfers. Millions of dollars moving through complicated structures. Maybe it was sloppy accounting. Maybe. Or maybe it wasn't. The client looked worried. Should I be concerned? Ethan carefully closed the folder. Very. That night he barely slept. Because the documents reminded him of something. Something he had seen years earlier. Back when he occasionally handled consulting work for large real estate firms. The patterns were familiar. Too familiar. The next morning, Ethan began researching. Quietly. Carefully. Professionally. And what he found made his stomach drop. Many of the companies involved traced back to one name. Victor Kane. The billionaire. Vanessa's billionaire. Ethan leaned back in his chair. Trying to convince himself it was a coincidence. It wasn't. For weeks he reviewed public records. Corporate filings. Property transactions. Financial disclosures. Every trail led to more questions. And every question led back to Victor. One evening Noah noticed his father staring at paperwork. Dad? Ethan looked up. Yeah, buddy? You're doing the face. The face? The face you make when something's wrong. Despite everything, Ethan laughed. Children always noticed. He ruffled Noah's hair. I'm working on a problem. Can you fix it? Ethan thought for a moment. Then answered honestly. I don't know. A few days later, Ethan made a decision. Not because of Vanessa. Not because of Victor. Not because he wanted revenge. Because if the documents were real, innocent investors could lose everything. Retirements. Savings. Businesses. Lives. So Ethan picked up the phone. One call. A call to federal regulators. He submitted everything. Every document. Every discrepancy. Every concern. Then he went back to work. He expected nothing to happen. For 3 months, nothing did. Then one Tuesday morning, the financial world exploded. News alerts flooded every screen. Federal investigators had launched a massive inquiry into several of Victor Kane's companies. Trading was halted. Assets were frozen. Banks began pulling credit lines. Investors panicked. Billions vanished almost overnight. Across the country, headlines spread like wildfire. And in the middle of the chaos, Ethan's phone rang. The caller ID showed a number he hadn't seen in years. Vanessa. He hesitated. Then answered. The moment he picked up, he heard something he never expected. Fear. Ethan. Her voice trembled. Did you do this? Ethan frowned. What are you talking about? There was silence. Then a shocking revelation. Victor says someone reported everything. Another pause. And he somehow found out that person was you. Ethan's heart sank. Because if Victor knew that much, then there were far bigger problems than anyone realized. And what Vanessa said next would change everything. He's blaming me, Ethan. A pause. And I think he's hiding something much worse. For several seconds, Ethan said nothing. He held the phone tightly, trying to process what Vanessa had just said. He's blaming you? Vanessa's voice shook. You don't understand. A pause. The investigation isn't just about money anymore. Ethan immediately sat upright. What does that mean? Silence. Then Vanessa answered. It means Victor is scared. That worried Ethan more than anything else. Because powerful people rarely become frightened without a reason, especially billionaires. Tell me exactly what's happening. Vanessa took a deep breath. 3 days ago, federal investigators searched one of Victor's offices. A pause. Since then, he's barely slept. Another pause. People keep leaving. Executives. Lawyers. Consultants. Longtime business partners. The people who once surrounded Victor were disappearing one by one. And that terrified him. Because for years, money had solved every problem. Now it couldn't. Ethan listened quietly. Then asked the question that mattered most. Are you safe? Vanessa was stunned. Of all the things he could have asked, that wasn't what she expected. After everything that happened between them. After the divorce. After the hurt. He still asked if she was safe. A small tear rolled down her cheek. Yes.